Right, well, here we go. Rapha Festive 500 2016. I haven't ridden this for a couple of years because last year I had a time trial on the New Year's Day, so I gave it a miss. But I hadn't really intended to do it this year either. But I've decided at the last minute to give it another shot. So it's dark outside at the moment. It's just before 8 o'clock, and I'm off on the Interbike club ride. That's my club. Saturday ride every week. Probably be about 20 of us out, I suppose. And it splits into two groups. Being my age, I should know better really. I should be going on the slow group, but I tend to go on the fast ride, and so I'm probably in for quite a hard time. I'll be riding with a winter bike, which you can see here, and that's going to make it harder still, but I do like to have my mud guards, I'm afraid. I like my creature comforts.
They work by
Well, I think we could reasonably say that was quite a hard ride actually. That was pretty tough, that. Another ride tomorrow by all accounts. There's another Interbike ride coming up. We're organising another one for Christmas morning, but whether my legs will be quite ready for that, not quite sure at the moment. Well, happy Christmas. I have to say my legs are feeling quite on the heavy side after yesterday's ride. I could have done with something a bit easier than that to start the week off really, but I've committed to going out on another ride with some of the lads, including Patrick, who are meeting up over at Mark's Tay. So I'm up a lot earlier than I would like to have been. It's 7 o'clock, and I'm off out into the dark gloom in a minute. But as forecast, the temperature is 10 degrees out there, so at least it's not cold. Today I'm going to take out my old 1990s road bike, which I tend not to ride in the winter because it's got no mud guards on it, but roads are actually dry today, so I'm going to give it a go. Yeah, got there for a bit. There's a bit of traffic, but very little. You know, it's a lot lighter than normal. It's gradually building, I think. People who might possibly do the sporties, the kind of thing that they do. And then you've got a few people who, like you were saying, have learned to ride a Hog Hill. Right, and having got that one out of the way, now for Christmas lunch. Well, I'm reckoning that in the Festive 500 there probably won't be all that many people who've recorded from the top of a church tower, so I'm going for that prize. It's Boxing Day today, and I've decided to have a slightly easier day today, so just riding over to Boxing Day meal in a minute. So it's going to be about 30k today at the best, but at least I've been nicely rested. Well, I've had a bit of a rest day today, obviously. Just rode over to my parents, met up with my sister and my niece and their partners as well. In a way, a bit of a sort of waste of a day. It's been one of those typical Boxing Days when you kind of feel that you haven't really done anything by the end of the day, but at least it has given my legs a bit of a rest, I suppose. And I think tomorrow I'll probably start doing some more serious training, because I need to start putting a bit of speed in, because I've been thinking my first race is only about 10 weeks away, so I suppose I need to try and do something a little bit harder at some point fairly soon. But anyway, see how it goes. Forecasts for a frost tonight. It's already quite chilly out there. I've just ridden back from Halstead, and the roads have all been gritted, so I'll probably leave it a bit later in the day before I go out to let the ice clear, I think. One of the things that I like about cycling, and one of the things that I think sets it apart, and today I suppose sort of typifies that because I have had a rest day, is the fact that you can still use a bike for transport as much as for a sport. and I've always been a sort of cyclist I suppose. I'm not one of the ones who follows particularly rigid training plans. I just like riding a bike, and even when I'm not riding it competitively, not trying to train, I still do enjoy riding the bike, and I'd still rather ride a bike than car. You know, the car sort of winds me up, I get stressed, whereas if I'm riding a bike, it relaxes me, and I ride to work quite a lot when I can. And in fact, I do more miles on my work bike than I do on any of the others put together. And today I've only done about 30 kilometres, but I really enjoyed doing it. I rode through Blackmore End on my way over to Halstead, which is where my family sort of hail from. We've been researching some of our genealogy during this holiday, and that's where quite a few of my ancestors come from. And that's the thing I love about cycling, is getting out in the countryside, using it to get to places. Still beats training hard, in my opinion. Anyway, off to bed now, and then, as I say, a decent hard training ride tomorrow, and I'm halfway through the Festive 500, 251k covered now. It's December the 27th, and it's about 1 o'clock, and I haven't done anything much today at all, really just faffed about on the computer a bit, downloaded a few lesson plans because I'm a teacher, but done very, very little else, filled in a couple of forms. That's the thing with the Christmas holidays, you don't have to waste a lot of time, don't you? It's just ridiculous. I could do so much more with that time. Still, I suppose I need the rest. Anyway, I'm going to get out and make some proper use of the time now, and do about 30 miles on the bike, so it'll be about another 50k for the Festive 500. So by the end of today, I'll be into the last 200 kilometres, I hope. It's Wednesday, December the 28th, and I'd intended to get out for about 100 kilometres today, which would have halved the distance I've got left to go for the Festive 500. But I woke up to this. It's freezing fog here, temperature's down to about -2, and unbelievably there's a couple of rides already on Strava that people have done, and one looks as though it's been curtailed after about 3 miles. I suspect because of the ice on the roads, it looks pretty dodgy out there. So certainly no ride this morning, probably no longer ride all day, but I'll see if I can get out a bit at lunchtime and do a shorter ride of some sort. There's a group from Braintree hoping to get out. Typical British weather, unfortunately. It's quite annoying really, because it's December the 29th, and so I've only got a couple more days left after today, and again there's a massive frost, so the roads are still looking quite dodgy. There's frost still on the roofs of all local houses, and kind of look at it and think, well, some of the roads are going to be bad in that case. A couple of my friends have tried to get out and have turned back after a couple of miles because they've found that it's too dodgy. Been posting on Facebook about it, of course. So it's really not ideal. I'm going to try and get out in a minute and do a few miles because I've got to go and do some work this evening. I had planned to ride to that. It would have been an 18-mile ride each way, but the way back would be in the dark, and I think the frost's going to be settling again by that time, and because people are at work at the moment, there'll be traffic on the roads, so I really don't fancy that, and I'm not taking silly risks. So I'm going to go out, but I'm going to stick to gritted roads, I think. Well, that was another slightly interesting ride this afternoon. I picked up part of the Tour de France route actually, but not particularly because I'd planned it, but rather because they were about the only roads that were rideable. It's icy again, and I only just about managed to get out at the end of the day. And, in a way I probably shouldn't have even done it then, because some of the roads were a bit dodgy. But the main roads, weren't too bad, but it limited me in my route. And so I ended up in Great Sandford and heading through Finchingfield and Wethersfield and picking up the route of stage 3 of the 2014 Tour de France. I had to drive over to Tiptree later on for a bit of work, and the roads on the way back were horrendous really, and the fog's coming down again, so it looks like it's going to be the same thing again tomorrow with heavy fog. So if I do get out, I might possibly just go out on the mountain bike or something, but I don't think it'll be very much. So it's getting a bit boring, this really, waking up to fog and ice. But the forecast is suggesting it'll be better for Saturday, so at least there might be an Interbike Club ride then, and I might be able to finish off the Festive 500 then. As it is, I did 45 kilometres today, and I'm now up to just over 400 kilometres, so I'm into my last 100. I felt a bit like a weatherman doing these videos every day, but that's just what it's been like this week. It's like always at this time of year, trying to get the miles in is just governed by the weather, and you just have to take it as it comes really. But anyway, woke up this morning, thick fog again, temperature about 1 degree, and it didn't really increase all day, so I looked at it, I looked at Facebook, a few people were going out on rides, then they didn't go out on rides, so I just stayed indoors. I'd like to have got a few miles in really today, but it just simply wasn't worth the risk really. Drivers can't see you, road surface is dodgy, so I decided against it and stayed at home. So it's all down to the last day tomorrow now. Final day, just got to try and get in that last 84 kilometres. Shouldn't be a problem as long as I don't crash or anything silly. Probably shouldn't have said that, should I? But as long as all goes well, I should be able to finish it all okay. One of my friends has finished it today, so I'll see if I can join him tomorrow. Okay, New Year's Eve, December the 31st, the last day of the Festive 500. So it's all down to the last day now, unfortunately. But I'm off out in a minute. It came a bit hard trying to get up this morning in the dark. It's amazing how quickly you get into the holiday routine, isn't it? But I'm off in a minute and see if we can get those last 84k and a bit more done. that's it for the Festive 500 2016. I went through 500 kilometres, probably about 25k ago. I've got about another 6-7 kilometres to go to get home, and then that is going to be it. I won't be doing any more cycling this afternoon. See you next year.